So in the first part of classical evolutionism, we have seen what is the historical background. What is the historical background? What was the historical background because of which it has started? Biological and non-biological, the sociological theories of evolution was put forth by, it was put forth by biological theory by Darwin, sociological theories of evolution from military society to industrial society. Who has given this? Who are the two people? You have Spencer and Comte. So, what difference did you notice? Spencer is the one who has given military to industrial. Comte, Comte talked in terms of theological society. Earlier, all the till mid 12th century, you have theological society. That means till medieval period. From medieval to modern, you have metaphysical. That means enlightenment, renaissance. This has influenced the thought process and questioned the origins of the beliefs. And later on, in the modern period, you notice the scientific stage that is called as positivism. So this is the thing. And then you have Darwin in the Origin of Species book in 1859. He talks about the so coming to Morgan, first you need to know the Morgan belongs to America, New York. So there he started his journey. Initially he was lawyer by profession. Okay, he was lawyer by profession, and like he was not aware of anthropology and all these things at that point of time. He has a friend called Ellie Parker, and he belongs to Iroquois community. Okay, and this person used to take him to their clubs. Okay, so Morgan used to visit along with the Parker to the clubs, and on that particular day, instead of talking about these Iroquois, what happened is that they started talking about the problems they were facing and how they are fighting the government over there for their rights. Now, L.H. Morgan, who is a friend of Parker, he was feeling till the date it was interesting. But when these people started talking about the problems, he felt compassionate for them, and he has started taking up the cases of those people and fight the legal battles with the government. Okay, and he also observed that these customs were rapidly changing, and okay, whatever the customs that were there, since they are changing rapidly, he felt that these has to be recorded before they change. This is what he has felt, and then he started recording, and the name of the first book is The League of Iroquois. So Iroquois is the name of the tribals over there. Okay, then after that stage, then he started observing that community. He noticed interesting thing among the Iroquois, that all the people were calling their fathers, brothers, and others with the similar kind of names. Father is called as father. Father's brother is also called as father. And mother is called as mother. Mother's sister is also called as mother. He felt this to be interesting. And then at later point of time, you notice that he has talked about the kinship terminology. So whatever that you noticed is terminology, right? So he talked about the kinship terminology. Kinship terminology deals with how one is addressing their kin, with what term you are addressing your kin. That is kinship terminology. We will be studying about this in detail in 2.5, but what Morgan has talked about, what he has contributed, you will understand here. Just try to understand this as a story, more of a descriptive thing. Once you know the story, you have understood well, then automatically you will write the answer. Or else you should mug up things. Okay? So now you know that he went there as a friend, he helped them fight the legal battles, then he traveled with them, then he wrote the first book. Since their customs are fastly changing, in order to record before they change. So he has written the League of Iroquois, and then he looked at their customs, how they are calling their kins. So that is called as kin term, right? So he observed how kinship terminology is present among them, and with that, he tried to classify the kinship terminology. So that we'll be studying soon. So what he has observed there, and if you are calling mother, mother sister, okay, all the people as mothers, father, father's brother, all the men as fathers. That means you are classifying a set of people as mothers, you are classifying a set of people as fathers. This is why he called it as classificatory system. When you are grouping a set of people, classifying a group set of people and calling them with a similar term, then that is classificatory. And if you are calling individuals with different names, all the individuals with different terms or names, then it is called as descriptive system. So he has divided the kinship terminology into two types. One is classificatory, other is descriptive. Clear? Kinship. Kinship. Kin is someone who is related by blood or socially. Kin is somebody who is related by blood or socially. Socially means it might be your friend. So in the past, it is only treated as those who are related by blood. But now, later on, the modern observations have made it clear that it can be socially related also, because parents may not have child, they can adopt, and now he becomes the son. So he is not biologically related. He is not related by blood. He is related socially, but still he is a kin, right? So that's what he can be related by blood or related socially. So these all things we'll study in detail. So kinship. So relationship between the kins is kinship. So what relation you have with them? So kinship terminology. So for that relationship, what term you are using, right? So in South Indian society and in most of the North India also, so they call mother's brother as mama, father sister's husband as also mom. The same term. So you're classifying few people, but whereas for others you use different terms. So how you are dealing with the terminology. So at that point of time, L.H. Morgan was dealing with those people. Don't try to relate it to the modern day. Just keep this in mind. Don't think from today's perspective when you are in the class. Just go back to 1890s, 1870s and think at that point of time when Marx was on his deathbed. That was the time when L.H. Morgan's publications were coming. So this is the thing he has observed, and now he want to understand American Indians are there, So he was in America, and he was Iroquois are belong to the American Indians. So he thought, if if classificatory system which he has seen in Iroquois is found in all American Indians, it would prove that the unity of their origin. That means they all came from the same people. If everybody is using the classificator system, if I'll check with all the American Indians what kind of kinship terminology they are using. If everyone is using the same thing, then I can come to conclusion, since everybody is using the same thing, their origins are same. They have come from the same place. So that he want to conclude. And for that, what he has done, he has taken the help of Smithsonian Institute. Smithsonian Institute today also it's very famous. You can open that and you can check regarding anthropology. Too many things are published over there. Smithsonian. So from here, he got financial aid. So he made a questionnaire. Questionnaire means you have a paper, and in that you have set of questions. You will give options. So based on that, they'll tick mark. So he made a questionnaire and he has sent to all the societies. And from there, he got those papers collected. So how data was gathered at that point of time? Try to understand. So from the responses what he has got, he tried to make an hypothesis of Asiatic origin of American Indians. So in Asia also, in most of the areas, they were using the same kind of classification. So that's why he said origin of American Indians was from Asia. And these findings appeared in the book called as Systems of Consanguinity and Affinity of the Human Family. This is other important book you have to remember. Okay, this other book I told you, right? Go back to 1870s. This was the time. So the first book was in 1851, League of Iroquois. So this was the first book. IRO. Done. So this was the thing. Now, when he said that Asiatic origin of American Indians because of the classificatory system followed in the Asia, he got the responses and he made a hypothesis. Then John Lubbock, who is a famous sociologist and he has contributed to other aspects also. So John Lubbock has questioned this. In Polynesia also, beyond Asia, there also you notice the same classificatory system. Then why not the origin is from there? So then he started thinking, and he was trying to classify. So then he has understood that he might not prove the common origins, but only mean that they belong to earlier stage of human development. So this, he cannot prove that they are of common origin, but you can say that this is of earlier origin. So he said initially there was classificatory system, later there was descriptive system. How? He linked it to the marriage. So he said that in the earliest stages there was classificatory system, and later in the modern, because he himself saw his America, like mainstream Americans in America, they use the descriptive terminology, they use different names for different kins, right? So he thought that earliest stage was classificatory and the latest stage is descriptive. So he says that kinship evolved from classificatory to descriptive. Now he tries to explain this using marriage. So earliest stage, when humans were at the earliest stage, he says that at that point of time, people were following promiscuous marriages. Promiscuity means, have you ever heard of this word promiscuity? So promiscuity means that there is a group, there are males, there are females, there are children. Nobody knows who is father of who is mother of who. So anybody used to mate with anyone, and there is no clarity of the fatherhood or the motherhood related to any of the child. So this was the earliest form. So he says that this was similar to the aspect of what animals were living. Animals are rarely bothered who is the mother or the father. They live in the group. This was the thing. So earliest stage was promiscuity. Then comes Punaluan marriages. What do you understand by Punaluan marriage? See, if you know, it's well and good. If you don't know, I'll anyhow explain. But I just want to know that were you aware of it or heard of it? Why don't you think based on the term that is used? Hmm? Punaluan means a group of brothers marrying a group of sisters. Okay, so that was the second stage, and then syndasmian. Syndasmian is the next stage. In the syndasmian, one man will marry one wife, one man will marry one woman. Okay, so Punaluan. Luan, Luan. So what does this mean? Done. It can be anything. Group of brothers marrying group of sisters. Yeah. So that was the earliest stage. And then syndasmian, one man will marry one woman, but at the same time both can have extramarital affairs as well. So that is syndasmian. And then you have patriarchal. Patriarchal means it's a male rule. That means male can marry multiple women. That is polygyny. Polygyny means poly means many, gyny means wives. So polygyny. Andry means husband. Gyny means wife. Gyny means wife. Andry means husband. So polyandry means multiple husbands. Polygyny means multiple wives. Right? So next you have patriarchal. So in the patriarchal, it's a male dominant, and here you notice male can marry multiple women. Then comes the monogamy. So at the end you have monogamy. So this is how marriage has evolved over a period of time according to Morgan. He talked about the evolution of marriage, and he correlated the different social institutions how they. He said initially it was classificatory, but over a period of time, this is part of civilization. So during the part of civilization, you have descriptive kinship terminology. I'll show you the table so you'll understand there. But understand the broad concept or idea of family. So this is how marriage and family has evolved over a period of time. So why did this happen? Promiscuity to patriarchal monogamy. This was the idea of family. So why did this happen? Because the descent pattern has changed. So descent pattern initially it was promiscuity. Promiscuity means initially family evolved in 15, like see according to Morgan these are the not the complete stages. There are multiple stages. There are 15 stages. First it started with consanguineous. Okay, consanguineous means within the blood related people are also mating and marrying. Then you have punalu and syndasmian. Lastly you will have monogamy. So descent evolved from promiscuity. Since at that point of time there was no surplus, the idea of descent was irrelevant, because when you don't have anything to transfer to the next generation, then descent, what is the concept of descent? You are transferring your property or in your rights, those things to the next generation. But there was no surplus at all. Then what would you transfer to the next generation? At that point of time, according to him, it was irrelevant in promiscuity. Right? In promiscuity, descent was irrelevant because there was no surplus. Okay, you cannot transfer anything to the next generation. Any personal belongings that individuals have, that would be buried with the individual itself, right? It would be buried then and there. And next, with the evolution or with the advent of surplus. When did the surplus start? When there was agriculture, right? When people started storing things, most adequate form of descent that could arise was matriarchal, because mothers were aware of their children. Fathers are not, because when people were marrying multiple, like they are having relations with multiple people, now fathers are not aware who their children was, because they were mating with multiple people. But mothers are aware of their children. That could be the first stage of starting. Because see, this is all hypothesis. So he said earlier stage was promiscuity, and then transfer of property would have started when mother started realizing who their children were, because mother was the first to realize, right? They can identify who their child was. They would be taking care for long period of time. So with the rise of male dominance over a period of time and control over the economy, then there came patrilineal descent. So first transfer from mother to children, but when the control over the economy was taken over by the male, then comes the matrilineal descent. Sorry, patrilineal descent. From first you have no descent, right? Then comes the matrilineal descent. That means mothers are aware of the children, they'll transfer the properties, all the rights to the next generation. That is matrilineal. Then comes the patrilineal. So this is how family and marriage, and this is how kinship terminology, and in relation to that you can observe the descent pattern as well. Okay, so that is from promiscuity to matrilineal to patrilineal. So this is the descent. So then coming to political organizations. So here we have understood why the evolution is happening, because surplus started generating. So when you have surplus, you have to transfer it to your descendants, okay, for which there is necessity to establish the clear line of generation or blood relatives. You should show who is your relative, blood relatives, or who is your line of generation, so that for the descent to transfer. Now, what happened is, when a group of husbands defended the communal wives from other men, the promiscuous society is partially reformed. Now, what happened is that when these people were there with a group of women, now when they defended these women from other men, so slowly the promiscuity has partially transformed, right? Or reformed, because you're not letting the people in. Okay, so this begins the process that will ultimately lead to the formation of family over a period of time. So when they are in the group and they are defending from other people from entering, not randomly mating with each other, so that means that is the starting stage. You are stopping the entry of others into the family level. Are you getting my point? How did this happen? So initially, the surplus and all these things have come, but in the family level, how did the family, how did they move towards the family? First, there might be too many people, 10, 20 people living in the group. Now, other people also may join the group. But now these people started defending the group of women, this group of men over there, they started fighting with the other people who are trying to come in. So now they might have started defining who are part of their group. Then slowly the concept of family might have come from there. Not clear? Once again, I'll tell you. This your clear classificatory descriptive, right? Then the marriage and family, how it has evolved. Initially, promiscuous, then Spunaluan, Syndasmian, patriarchal, matriarchal, right? So this is how he has said. And then promiscuity, matrilineal and patrilineal, because mothers were the first to recognize their children. So they used to transfer their things. Then later on, when male took dominance over the economy and control, then patrilineal came. So in order to form, can you tell me what you have understood? What you have understood. Don't tell what you didn't understand. Just try to focus. Don't write anything when I'm talking about explanation. So unless and until there is some important book or something, then note it. It's very simple. There are multiple people living in the group, okay, and everybody, there is male, there is female, there are multiple males and multiple females. Now all the male members are called as fathers, all the female members are called as mothers. When you're classifying group of people and calling all them with the same name, that is classificative. When you're calling everybody with different name, that is descriptive. I think you are somewhere else, because this is not the thing which you don't understand. Because when you're, see, I told you mama, you're classifying both of them and you're calling them mama. And if you don't classify, if you call with different name, that is descriptive. So classificatory is when you're classifying group of kins and calling with the same name. Descriptive means when you're calling every kin with a different term, with different kin term, that is descriptive. Clear? Yeah. So basically the thing is that if you try to do multiple things at one time, your focus will be less. So you are trying to note all the things down at the same time. Yeah, yeah. See, these things we did not get into the PPT yet. Again, I'll explain all these things, but I'm trying to make you understand the story behind it, or else it will be mechanical. So you have Morgan's theory book. So this I'll show you and criticism done. If I try to explain through this, it will hardly take 5 minutes to explain Morgan. But I want you to remember the backdrop of Morgan. Where did he come from? Okay, he belongs to America. He has a friend. He went there. He wanted to preserve the changing. He want to record whatever that is there, the customs of the American Indians before changing. That's why he wrote the first book, League of Iroquois. And then he observed their kinship terminology. They were calling all the mother and mother sisters as mothers, and father sisters as fathers. That means they are classifying a group of people and giving a single name. That means this type of kinship system or kinship terminology is classificatory. Whereas he observed his own kinship terminology in the modern Americans. So there he observed that, okay, these all are called with the different names. So that means their kinship terminology is descriptive. Okay, different, but the name you call it descriptive. Okay, so then he tried to look at the reason, because he thought at the earliest stage the family type was promiscuous. That means no differentiation who is mother and father, but slowly it evolved over a period of time. Then it became group of people, group of brothers marrying group of sisters, right? And then you have one man, one woman marrying each other, but with allowed extra marital affairs, then patriarchal, then monogamy. So here you have polygyny, patriarchal means, then you have monogamy. And at the same time, he also linked it to descent. So initially promiscuous, but when mothers started realizing that children and identifying their children, they might have transferred something to their children. So slowly matrilineal descent started. That descent is something where you trace your origins and your rights. Okay. So here rights are transferred through the mother initially. Then when male dominance took over, then it is patriarchy. This was his finding. Okay. So he has also written an important book known as Ancient Society. So he said that mankind began their life at the bottom of the career and they started progressing over a period of time. Slowly, through the accumulation of experimental knowledge. See, every human being in the mankind might have started at the lowest stage and slowly they progressed over a period of time by accumulating the knowledge, experimental knowledge that they gained over a period of time. So he said that this lowest stage is called as savagery, and the middle stage barbarism, and then civilization. How do you measure them? He measured by four developments, four cultural developments. How do you measure the stage of progress? Is by four stages, four cultural achievements or cultural developments. So first and foremost is invention and discovery. Invention and discovery. Next, growth of idea of family, growth of idea of private property, growth of idea of government. So you will see discoveries and inventions. You will notice the discoveries and inventions. You will see whether there is a concept of family, whether there is concept of government, whether there is concept of private property. And based on this, you will decide by looking at this is the private property. Based on this, you will try to decide which stage they are in. So this has been discussed by him in the book called as Ancient Society. So what are the important books of Morgan now? First and foremost is League of Iroquois, then Systems of Consanguinity and Affinity of Human Family, Ancient Society. So you need not look at the books separately, contributions separately. Try to understand when which book was written while talking about which work. Okay, so here you want to explain that initially societies were governed on the basis of relationships. Okay, so relations used to govern the social order in the beginning. So they are purely personal, which he called as societas. Okay, how did the government evolve? Initially, it is societas. Societas means the group of people, how they used to govern, who should do what should be done, who should be having the decision making authority. These all are governed by relations. So it is purely personal. So initially it was societas. So later on, then it is civictas. So what does this mean, civictas? What is societas? Hmm. on personal basis, right? Societas deals with the earliest form where the relations are purely personal and relations are governing the social order. So yeah, the group of people will be having personal relationship, right? So if there are only 10 people here, they might be either friend, family or whatever, but that is what is governing who should be taking what task, who should be doing what. But later on, when the property or territory started, okay, so when the private property concept has started, from then the codification has come, and the property or territory, which territory you belong to, that will determine how the rule is being done. So that is called as civictas or civitas. Okay. So government, what is government? Government is something which is maintaining the social order, right? And government is something which is maintaining the social order. And initially, social order is based on kinship or kin ties. And later on, social order is based on political ties and territory. So, there is a family, the family will be having children, their children, their children. So, they'll be deciding which who should be doing what task. So, initially, that was based on lineage. Lineage means which line the things are being transferred. So, lineages used to be there in the initial days, and in the lineages, who should be taking care of what, and different lineages will form and they will govern, each lineage will govern itself. And then when this group of people coming together, are you clear what lineages are? Lineage is nothing but a group of family who are tracing themselves to a common ancestor. So there is one person, grandparents, then parents, then children, children's children, children's children. So now this is a complete lineage. So in this lineage, first the lineages will govern themselves in the starting days, because people used to live in small numbers. It should not be like this, because they were based on hunting and gathering. So every band, it used to be a band type. Band means very less number of people within the group. So initially lineages are there. Slowly what happens? These lineages now they have formed a group. So they'll come together, they'll form a group. When lineage will expand too much, so this is complete lineage. They all belong to lineage A. These people can also say that they belong to lineage B. These people, right? These people can say they belong to lineage C. But when it was small, they could remember the earliest ancestor. But what happens over a period of time? These lineages will become bigger, bigger in size, and they will trace themselves to unknown ancestor. Okay, that forms a clan. In lineage, you know your ancestor, but when it forms a clan, because when this lineage is expanding, these people now C, D, E, F. So now four lineages come together and they'll say we belong to one common ancestor, and that's why they come under one clan. So combination of lineages is clan. Initially it was one lineage A. Now when the family started expanding, 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 lineage is converted into sublineages, sublineages further sublineage. So many lineages will combine to form a clan. So what is clan? In lineage you know your ancestor, but in clan you will tell, okay, we had a common ancestor, but we don't know who is. So that is clan. So now these group of people come together. They are like extended families. So first stage was lineages, then clans, then you have tribes. That is confederacy. So now this is one clan who belong to A. There will be another clan which is B, which expanded further. So they have multiple lineages, G, H, I, J. These are the clans. Sorry, these are the lineages. They belong to B clan. So they say that, okay, we had some common ancestor. These people have common ancestor. These clans will come together and they'll form a confederation. That is known as tribe. When multiple clans club, it forms a tribe. So why do they form a tribe? To fight someone. So at that earliest point of time, they need to protect their territories, which has resources for their survival. So in order to survive, you should fight the other set of people who are coming from there. So now in order to fight them, you have clan A, you have clan B, you have clan C. These all will form one confederation and they call together as tribe. And now these people will face this enemy who is coming for war. So in order to make defend from the enemies, they form a confederation, that is tribe. So at the last stage, which is extremely centralized form of organization, and when the private property evolved, individual recognition started. So initially there was no surplus, but when the agriculture started, there was surplus. So when the surplus started, the individual property has started. So from there you notice the social hierarchy. Whoever has more amount of economic wealth, they are at the highest of the hierarchy. Those who have less is the lowest of the hierarchy. You notice the social hierarchy, and at the same time formation of the government. So at the last stage of political organization is nation or state. So where tribes, multiple tribes all come together, and by that time initially tribes are there, but when the individual property form surplus has come, so you have social hierarchy, and when you have social hierarchy, so in order to maintain, because when you have wealth, somebody should manage it, or else somebody will attack and will take away the wealth. So in order to maintain that social order, when everybody is having wealth, they have to protect. So what is the best way of protection? People come together and give power to one person or a group of people, they will govern everything. So that led to the formation of nation or state slowly. Social contract theory, right? So if you know social contract theory, all the people will come together and they'll make a contract with the government. That government will take care of these people. So this is the formation of government. Now you need to understand, in all the places, why did this happen the same way? Why in all the places monogamy has come, in all the places nation state government has come? What he calls as germs of thought. He says within the people, in the beginning itself, from the incipient state, so from then itself, they have this in their mind. Okay, so even in the lowest stage or in the savage stage, these all aspects of society were present in very incipient form. That means, like Tyler said, right? within the gene how it is present, and it expands to form as individual. In the same manner, within the every human's mind, they have same thought process, same problem, same solutions, so same amount of knowledge and ability in the beginning, and that leads to the civilization. So everybody will start from savagery, then barbarism to civilization. Here also he called the term known as germs of thought, which is present in incipient form even in the earliest stage of savagery people. So that leads over a period of time to the same basic ideas and modern notions of society and family. Clear? So there he called gene. Gene will lead to the formation of organs, organs individual, right? So that is the expansion. Here, these are germs of thought. These germs are there since the beginning itself. Now these germs will grow over a period of time, and that leads to the formation of modern institutions. So these are the findings of L.H. Morgan. L.H. Morgan talks about family, kinship, descent, government, political institution, right? So now let's look at that. So he presented the theory of evolution in his book, Ancient Society, Essence of Theory. So culture evolves in stages, essentially same in every part of the world because of the operation of psychic unity of mankind, which for what is the reason for psychic unity of mankind? Germs of thought, right? So same germs, they'll grow and then. So then this is the book. Then you can see that he has talked about four things. When I told you that when you are trying to measure the stages of progression, so you want to check which stage they are at, you will check four things. One is discoveries and invention, other is family, government and private property. So he tried to link all of them, and he divided each stage, savagery into lower, middle, upper, barbarism into lower, middle, upper and civilization. So he has given the discovery and invention which has changed over a period of time. He has given it, and then with that he has given the different types of families, and then kinship terminology, then socio-cultural aspects related to government. You can look at this. First you have savagery in the lower stage, fishing and nut subsistence, and then you have use of fire in the middle, and then you have bow and arrow. And what he has done is that he has given the examples of current societies also, which society belong to which stage. So he said Australian aboriginals belonging to middle savagery, and upper savagery is by Polynesian society. In the similar manner you have barbarians also, right? So then you have civilization. Marriage, you have group marriages which is promiscuity, then pairing, and then you have monogamy. Okay, so marriage and family, it's closely related, right? So you can see group marriages and pairing has been done, marrying one another, and then you have monogamy. Then family, you know this, we have discussed, and you can see descriptive was in civilization only, kinship terminology, because he considered the modern people to be civilized, American people. So then you can see the property. Initially it is female linked, and then slowly from the middle barbarian stage, you notice the male oriented and male inherited, then completely male dominated. Political organizations, it starts from bands, then you have patry, tribe. So here sections or matrices, it's with respect to clans, and then fatry. So when multiple clans combine, first you have matry, then for multiple, fatries. multiple factories combine to form tribe. So when you combine too many clans, that becomes tribe. But smaller version of that is, you combine 10 clans, that will become a factory. If you combine 100 clans, that will become a tribe, because 10 factories are combining. So let me explain. So because these all terminology you learn in unit 4, so I didn't want you to get confused by this terminology. Just know that it started with lineage, then clan, multiple clans will combine to form factory, then multiple factories will combine to form multi, then they will form tribe. So this is the stages which tribe will be formed, but you need not be concerned about that. Just know initially bands were there, and then sections, matrices, factory, tribe, confederation, state and country. But when they ask about the political organization alone, then you should be able to explain this. Initially, it was societas and later it was civitas. So, societas was governed purely on the basis of personal kin relations, which over a period of time, with the invent of property, individual property, and the linking of the territory, there comes the notion of government, right? So, where they come together to protect the territory and form a contract with the government that leads to the formation of nation or state. So these things you have to write. So I'll send you the audios of it so that you can note them. Okay. But this is the understanding of L.H. Morgan. So that tomorrow, if they ask about family, tomorrow you should not be worried about what to write. So how will you write when question is asked about what Morgan has talked about family? How will you write the answer? So first of all, you should talk about where he has given. So Morgan has talked about the family and descent in the work con no the systems of consanguinity and affinity of human family. So in so and so work, he has explained the evolution of the family and descent. Okay, so you'll write that, and so you'll say that how he has explained the evolution of family, and he has linked it to different stages of evolution. So how he has talked about savagery and linking it to the type of marriage, barbarism and type of marriage, and civilization type of marriage. You have it there, right? So syndasmian comes under barbarism, but consanguinate, consanguinity or consanguineous family or promiscuity is same, because you don't differentiate who is what. Just you mate. Okay, so then Punaluan family. Again, Punaluan group of brothers marrying group of sisters. Next, you have Syndasmian, then patriarchal and matriarchal. So, which stage he has linked to what kind of marriage? And you'll explain that what is Punaluan, what is Syndasmian. Okay, you'll write explain. You will not write the table, but rather you'll write in explanatory manner. What is Syndasmian? What is Syndasmian? Done. Good. So that clarity should be there. Punaluan means group of brothers, group of sisters. So it should not be that looking at this terminology you get confused. It's very simple once you understand. Right? You know this part as well. Property initially how it has come. It was promiscuous, then matrilineal, then patrilineal. So we have seen it. So you can write it in either ways: male oriented, male inherited, or matrilineal pattern. So that's okay. Terminology you can change, but meaning has to remain the same, right? So these are the contributions of Morgan. Then coming to the limitations of his thought process, or critical analysis of LH Bond. Iroquois. No, no, not just from that alone. He from their League of Iroquois and kinship terminology he has said, but he has also observed multiple things. And then in ancient society, the work ancient society, there he talked about the political organization, how it has evolved over a period of time with the invent of private property and the development of surplus. So he related the surplus is the main reason. Till there was no surplus, there was no descent also. Right? So this was not there. How the property descent. But once the surplus comes in, you have all these aspects. Okay? Slides. Notes. All group of clans will form a confederation which is called as tribe. That we learn. See, this is more of a political organization. So in political organization, chapter 4, we learn all these things in detail. In family, we learn all these things in detail. In kinship chapter, we learn, but just we are learning the contributions and the basic understanding of these terms. Because these are all chapters in itself. You have 2.3 family, 2.4 marriage, sorry, 2.3 marriage, 2.4 family, 2.5 kinship, fourth unit political organization, and then you have economic organization, third unit. So you learn all these things in detail. But you should know what Morgan has said. Political thought. Political thought we don't have. Obviously, that is the reason why we are studying anthropological thought first, because you have to link your theories to other units of the syllabus. That is why we are doing anthropological thought first. Right? Then coming to critical analysis. So, critical analysis first and foremost is that he says initially there were promiscuity, and then you have later pairing is done, and then you will have monogamy. Ember and Ember, Melvin Ember and Carol Ember, in that work, they have highlighted that. See, the pairing you notice not in humans, but in the animals themselves. You go and study the multiple mammals, you will be noticing throughout the life they always be with one individual itself. So they pair only with one. He says that marriage is not created by humans. Humans are born into a society where already marriage is present. Humans are born into a society where already marriage is there. So this is the criticism to the Morgan, assuming that since everybody is, why are they calling everybody mother, everybody father? Because he believed that it was promiscuous kind of society. There was no pairing. That's why they used to classify it like that. So he linked the marriage, kinship together to explain. From kinship only he tried to give type of marriage, and then he tried to explain it. So, but it has been criticized. This is his first criticism. Then assuming that everywhere the humans or the culture and society evolves in similar stages because of germs of thought is not true. It is not having any scientific basis. You cannot prove it. And in different places, you notice there is presence of agriculture and you have classificatory kinship system. And in some places, domestication is there and they are having the factory kind of government. Yeah. He has said domestication is there in tribe, but even before that also domestication is seen. Even those who don't have tribe, they didn't go to the tribe level also, they practice domestication. So that means this correlation which he has described did not fit properly into all the societies, and henceforth this assumptions that have been made by L.H. Morgan is less valid. So they don't withstand in today's contemporary times. But what they agreed is that this pattern of evolution. So initially it was fishing, and then the domestication, then you go to the last stage of writing. Okay, so alphabet writing. So though they accept it, but they did not accept the correlation of these institutions and their evolution. Clear? This correlation is not accepted. So first criticism with respect to his concept of classificatory kinship and marriage. And second, I told you there are multiple societies which are having a contradictory things within the evolution that is given by L.H. Morgan. So whatever the evolution pattern and stages he has talked, so they are contradicting with one another. So that is the second thing. And the third thing is considering the highest stage or civilization by the modern people is also ethnocentric in nature. That means who said they are at the highest stage or they are the best. So that is also there. These all leads to the basic criticism, and the terminology savagery today or the words barbarism or savagery is considered as derogatory. So this, you should not use those words. That's why they have removed those words. Okay, so I told you the examples where they contradict. Aztecs, they use iron tools, but they don't have state organization. Here, if you see iron tools is with the state, right? Yeah, so at the highest stage. But here they use iron tools, but they don't have state organization. And again, Hawaiian society is in civilization stage, but uses classificatory kinship terms. So there is no relation. These are the criticisms. You know what happens, I told you 1870s was the time when Morgan was writing these books. At that point of time, Marx was very old. He was almost on the deathbed. He read the Ancient Society book of Morgan, Karl Marx. Okay, Karl Marx read the Ancient Society book of Morgan. He got old and he was almost aged. So Karl Marx, he was going through the book and he observed that you have seen the table, right? The material remains are linked to the development or the evolution. So even Karl Marx says that i- initially the property was with everyone and later on it was centralized. So with the evolution of private property only, the capitalism has come. Initially it was communism. Okay. So now property should be owned by the people. That's what he suggests, right? Karl Marx. So do you know what is his ideology? Karl Marx. Communist ideology. Marxists, there are Marxists, right, who believe that socialism, the property should be owned by the people. Government should own the entire property. There should not be private property. So government should take entire property and government should give it to everyone equally. So that is the ideology. So he says that initially it was with everyone, property was equally distributed. Later on, when private property evolved, then that led to the formation of these governments and to control. Because why are governments formed? To withhold the property they gathered, wealth they have gathered. So wealth is not equally distributed. So what Karl Marx says is that when the private property came, then only governments came. So here also you notice that with the evolution of private property only, you will have the nation state, really linking to the territory. So Karl Marx gets a validation from this, that historical materialism was the reason behind the evolution. So Karl Marx was almost on the deathbed, so he says to the Frederick Engels, so that you make this popular, L.H. Morgan's book popular and let many people read it. So he tells the Frederick Engels, so then Engels spreads this. But the problem there is that what is the force that is guiding the formation of private property? He did not tell. Morgan did not say what is driving the formation of private property. He did not say. But here in Marx, you'll notice he says that wealth accumulation and withholding of the property, these topics he talks about the government and the change of government over a period of time. So from change of ideology from communism to capitalism, because of withholding of wealth with few people and they want to preserve that wealth. So for that reason, they have created this form of government, capitalist form of government. Okay. So that anybody can own any amount of capitalism means whoever makes money, they can keep to themselves. But in communalism, you cannot do that. And so, right? So the difference between the Marx and the Morgan is that here he did not tell what is the force that is guiding this evolution or the formation of private property. He said it happens over a period of. He did not tell why it happened. But whereas Marx talks about it, the force behind it. Here he did not talk about the force behind it. So there is a small difference. Morgan did not bother what they are thinking and what they are doing, but just for some story that is related to L.H. Morgan and Karl Marx. So I am telling you because he got some validation. Marx got some validation using this, though it's not relevant to our exam. But just you should know that if an individual aspect of Morgan is asked, then in that case you can write. Private property is something when the thought previously everybody used to use everything, but when that started that this belongs to me, that's where the private property aspect starts. take down the two questions. Do the present anthropologists, I don't, do the present anthropologists do the present anthropologists believe believe that mankind was at one time promiscuous, at one time promiscuous, PROMIS, promiscuous. Mankind at one time was promiscuous, promiscuous, CUOUS. So that's first thing. And what are the views of Ember and Ember on it? Second, in the same question continuation, what are the views of Ember and Ember? According to next question, according to Morgan, what is government? According to Morgan, what is government? Question mark. Evaluate evaluate his account of evolution of government. Evaluate his account of evolution of government. So how are you going to write this answer? See, it is a skill you develop over a time, how you articulate your knowledge or the information that you have into an answer. That is what fetches you the score in the exam. What did we understand about the government based on Morgan theory? Based on Morgan's theory, what did we understand? Government is nothing but establishing social order, social control. Okay, so from the understanding of Morgan, in which book did he talk about the formation of government? Ancient society. So you give that in so and so book, he has explained the government. So according to him, what he means by government is that who establishes how the social control or the social order is established. And he tried to explain how this happened over a period of time among different stages from one stage to other, from savagery to barbarism. So he believed that what mechanisms were used in the beginning and at later point of time. Initially, so what we have seen here, you have savagery. In the savagery stage, what was the mechanism? It was personal relations, societas. So it was purely personal in the savagery stage. Kinship relations used to maintain the social order. So next stage, you have seen lineages and then you have these things, right? So in these stages, what used to happen? They used to bury there, then and there itself, whatever the property that is there initially. Later stages, you notice in the barbaric stages, what happens is that property is distributed among themselves and it is communally owned, it is not individually owned. But at a later point of time, in the civilization stage, the property is owned by the government and the individual, right? So that led to the formation of highest stage of civilization. So these are the views of the government. So in savagery, how it was there? Property, he linked the government formation to the property ownership. So property initially was owned by the people themselves, and that is to be buried then and there. And then the barbarism stage, you notice that they communally own. Okay, it is everyone's. No selling and buying of property was there. But later on, individual property, government property came, and selling and buying of property started. Then you have highest stage of revolution. This is how you have to write the answer. Hmm? Simple. 10 markers or 15 markers, whatever it may be, you can link and you can write. So here, lineages, the word used by in is gens, Gens. Gens means lineage. Okay. So don't get confused in if some other book they are going to mention gens. So try to write this answer, because see, whatever you are learning, from that itself you will get the answer. But you will be thinking that it is not there. So did I tell anything other than what we have discussed? The same thing, how the property and the government are interlinked and how it has evolved over a period of time. That itself, when you explain, it will cross 150 words and easily a 10 marker answer can be written. All you need to know is that some examples you can take from there what he has mentioned. Right? Clear? Then moving to James Fraser. James Fraser, we'll finish it. I'll tell you the story because afterwards you can just, tomorrow we can just go through the content. First, we'll know the backdrop. Okay, so his famous book is Golden Bough. You try and write, then tomorrow I'll tell you the answer. The view, what is his view? It can, view can be anything, right? You should explain it. That is the skill, right? So what he's pointing out, what opinion he has expressed in primates, mammals, the studies has been done from there. They have said the pairing happens from the past ancestors of humans itself. Even before the formation of humans, humans are born into a society of marriage rather than humans creating marriage. So what Morgan has said has been disagreed by the emperor and emperor. So that's what you have to write. What was the question before that? What did I say? What was the first question? Mankind was one at one time. So that means whether mankind promiscuous in the past or not. What today's anthropologists believe. So that you have to, because if you don't try to put your energies, then you'll never learn the subject. That's what, like, LH Morgan is what you learn in the class. In the exam, what they'll ask? They'll ask that present what they are thinking. So try to do some homework. Because see, if I tell you directly, you won't give value to it. So you do some homework, then you'll understand. It subject should develop interest over a period of time. It should not be boring. So in order to develop interest, you have to do certain things by taking interest and working for some time on it. Hardly it will take 5 minutes for to get to know what current anthropologists are thinking about it. You do whatever you want, but don't use ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give you fake information, and then one day you land in problem. So I've seen these days many toppers and other people are they're posting optional related information using ChatGPT. I would request that you verify the information. If you are following someone, I would suggest that verify the information. because a part of the information is correct and rest of the information is wrong. You ask the globalization examples impact on tribes, it will give 20, 30 examples, but information of one is mixed with the other, so it is not completely correct. What happens is that if examiner is aware about that example properly, then your entire paper is going to have negative impact. Examiner will understand you are trying to bluff him. Once anybody gets that impression, automatically you write the correct answer also, he will not consider as addition, value addition of that particular answer. He won't give any additional marks. So don't let yourself into trouble. So ChatGPT, you can take help of this artificial intelligence to simplify. You give 1,000 words and ask it to convert it to 100 words. That job it can do better. But asking a question and trying to generate an answer, it's difficult, because general studies, it's okay. General studies, because multiple resources are available and open resources. But for anthropology, I don't think there are many open resources. Still, anthropology is present in the form of books only. It is not converted completely into the digitized format. Today, even today, we don't find good books in digitized format. They go for hard copies only. So, because of that, when digitized information is not there, these people will not sit and scan. They will only take the information that is already there on the web. So, coming to Fraser, so he also belongs to Britain. He is an English anthropologist and is a great believer in evolutionism. Okay, so he also talks about evolution at different stages, but with respect to religion. He talks about the evolution of religion and not other things. He is not concerned about other things. He was least interested. So he said that human psychology develops over a period of time. And with respect to religion, he has mentioned that development in the Golden Book. He saw three elements characterizing three stages of development. So you have three stages of development. He saw three elements are part of three stages. One is magic. Magic assumes that universe is regulated by impersonal and unchanging laws. So whatever the universe that is there, how is it regulated? Magic, who are doing magic, they think that there are some impersonal and unchanging. So that means it is not personal. There is some impersonal and unchanging. So those are the laws which are regulating this universe, and that is what they think. So there are some beyond natural. So what is supernatural? What is supernatural? Supernatural is nothing but which is not natural. Anything you consider beyond nature is supernatural, right? So when you are assuming there are impersonal, that means it is not related to nature, and unchanged. Okay, those laws are constant. So now these magicians will use these laws to control the nature, because that is what regulating the universe. So they'll use it and they'll try to control. That is what they do in the magic. So in the earliest stage, humans used to think that they can control everything. They could control the nature by using the supernatural powers, by learning the laws of magic. But whereas In the next stage, they use so they were using magic in the beginning, but it was not working. Then they thought that we cannot control the supernaturals, impersonal beings. Henceforth, they submitted themselves to the impersonal powers and they started worshipping. And that's where the religion comes. And when in the next stage you start questioning, when you start questioning that why this has come, and when you have experimental knowledge, people were able to explain the reasons behind the phenomena, then they were equipped with the correct laws of nature. So that is the stage where science comes. So he says that there are three elements related with three stages: initially magic, then religion, then science. So magic, where it was the earliest stage, people used to think we can control the universe because there are universal impersonal laws which are regulating it, but they fail to control. Then they come to religion, when they start questioning and understanding the experimental knowledge of that, reasons for the particular phenomena, then they move towards science. So he says that religion evolve, sorry, the evolution of religion over a period of time, how it happens. So in this book, okay. So in the golden book, and then other is totemism and taboo. So in the work Totem and Exogamy, he talks about the totemism and taboo. So what is totemism? What is taboo? So this I'll explain you tomorrow. That totem is basically any object that is plant or animal. Okay, and when a group of people link themselves with the group of when the group of people link themselves with that object, then that is called as totem. If these people, group of people, believe that particular object is related to them and they start worshipping it, the object is known as totem because people are believing in it. And if they are following certain customs, traditions, and if they worship it, and that belief system is called as totemism. Totem is nothing but an object, can be a plant, animal, or anything. Now 10 people come together and they say that okay, this is our uh, goddess or god, and they start worshipping, they believe in it. So then that becomes totemism, and that object in the process is known as totem. So totem and totemism. And taboo, that means they don't kill that particular object or a particular animal or cut that particular tree, they respect it. So they'll have some norms that without taking bath you should not go there, or on particular day you should not do particular so and so activity. So that means your taboo means you are stopped from doing something. It is against the rule or norm. If you violate it, that means you are violating the social norms. Yeah, that superstitions are there, you can call them, but superstitions is a very broad term, very broad term. So these are the things what Fraser talks about, and then you have